everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here. Welcome back to Painted Studio. Sorry I had to adjust the collar of my shirt. It was caught up in the ties to my apron. Sorry, people are just I keep turning stuff off and somehow the messages still keep coming through, so I'm a little flustered today. So yesterday, let's kind of get right into everything. Yesterday, we did a lot of molds, casting a lot of things. So today we're going to unmold them. And then we're going to move on to a brand new piece of furniture that I brought in. It's a kidney bean shaped desk that I picked up over the summer and have not had a chance to start. This is a piece that I'm painting for the studio for resale here. So there's no directive on what has to happen other than there's some substantial repair. And we'll address all of that. So what we're first going to do is unmold everything and talk about the next steps with them. And then I'm going to go and take us over to the new piece that I have in the back. And we'll start the cleaning and process of organizing it for its refinishing. Okay, so I'm going to just flip this on down. A little further down. There we go. I want to turn on an extra light so that we're good and bright in here. There we go. And here we go. We have all of these things that we put into mold, all this epoxy that we poured into molds. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to finish today. Hey, Shirley and Maddie, nice to see you here. So these are the easiest ones. These are the little hearts that I made when I poured some extra epoxy yesterday. So I think what I really should do is we'll go through everything that's been poured. If you watched my live the other day, you saw that I poured the stuff that got this side, and then they were so thin, they could not be unmolded, and I told you that I knew this was going to happen, so I picked some epoxy pigment and poured it into the back, so that we had a thicker, more stable piece. Now this part has been poured for less than 24 hours. So for a good hard cure, before you give it to somebody as a gift, before you sell it, before you purchase it, make sure it's got at least 72 hours of curing time in there, because otherwise it'll be flexible. And what do I mean? Well, art resin tends to be flexible as it is. It takes a little longer to get hard than liquid glass does, and that's what we used in here. But I cast this last week, and when I took it out of the mold, it was flexible. Well, guess what? It's not flexible anymore. It's cured firm. And that's what you want it to be like before you use this for anything else. So I poured some colors on the back of the things that we cast, including our big tray that we will unmold, and then we're going to put a handle on these things. And then the leftovers from pouring this, I poured into here. And the pigment I used for this is Love Struck, which is a dark burgundy red. And the first ones, we're going to pop them right out of the mold. And as expected, they're a little frosty looking. Why? Because this is a food grade mold, not a silicone pouring mold. So it has a little texture to it. And tomorrow, do you reseal after 72 hours? No, there's no need to reseal after 72 hours. Epoxy in itself is a sealant. So once it's cured, it's good. So I poured these, obviously, I told you the other day I was pouring these into food grade molds. So when you do that, well, I might not have such great epoxy here. This might need a little more cure time, because you can see I'm wiping that with my finger, and I've never been able to do that before. Or it might just be that mold that I was playing with, but I have a feeling since I was scraping okay, this is actually a really good thing to see. As I was scraping the very, very, very last bits out of the cup, I might have gotten a couple drops that I hadn't mixed well. And as you can see right there, it's not cured, it's sticky. So this is why proper mixing, proper measuring is important. Now I'm going to set this to the side and see if that just happens to be a funny spot. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to show you what to do with that. Hang on a second. first thing I want to do to test that, and honestly, worrying about that, it's not a big deal for something like this. Because this is hazy, I already knew I had to seal this again with something to make it glossy. Not because the epoxy's the problem, it's because I wanted it shiny. So first thing I just did is take a little denatured alcohol and I'm wiping the surface. And I want to see what happens. So I'm exposing some soft spots in here. And I've never had that happen in my casting, but like I said, this was the last of a pour. So you can see I kind of made it a little funky looking. We're gonna let that sit to the side. We're gonna see what happens, see if that actually cures up or if that's as big a soft spot as I think it is. Because everything else here, we're cured just fine, except where I stuck my fingers on something gooey and then touched this. Ugh. Ugh. I hate when I do something dumb. All right, wipe that down. There we go. All right, so this was a completely separate pour. You didn't see me do it last night. I was running out of product. I mixed it all up. I mixed it in. I probably mixed it too fast because this was the last in the bottom of the cup. And more likely than not, this was the very last thing I poured, and I had a spot that was not well mixed. That's what happens. I've told you before, if you have stuff where you don't have your proportions right, you can get soft spots. Well, that's a gummy, gooey soft spot on there, and I'm not very proud of myself for it. All right, so we're gonna unmold the skull candle holder. And this is easy. This one likes to just roll right back and release, and I did put it, I was very generous with my mold release spray. None of this works well without a mold release spray. And this is for my son. He picked these colors, so, and this is already looking pretty cool. By the way, that's what the molds look like when you invert them, if you get one that you can flip like that. Okay, how cool is that? Now again, because this is a different grade of silicone, you're going to, for the mold, it's not a shiny, shiny, shiny one inside, so you're not going to get a glossy finish on this. But first of all, that is freaking cool. I mean, my son is going to be so happy. So he's getting this one for his birthday, which is in 2 weeks. He's got 2 silicone candle holders. And this is how the candle sits in. This is a plumber's candle, by the way. I get them for 99 cents at the hardware store. So look how cool that is sitting in there with the candle. And because these are ever so slightly translucent, if I was to use something like a tea light in there, you get a little bit of a glow through the epoxy. But this is very cool. He's going to be thrilled. So I'm going to turn that tea light off. And these are cured hard, hard, hard. This came out so cute. Oh, he's going to be so happy. All right, so we're going to start by next with unmolding some of the flowers. We're going to do the coasters and the tray last because there's a little construction that goes with them. So as you remember, these are all flowers associated with love that as we move into the Valentine's Day season. And so we're going to do little love tokens, little love trinkets, these are little love lollies. So clearly stuff stuck to the back because it went over the mold. That's easy, that's trimmable. And as you can see, like I showed you with the other ones, this is a little frosty, but we have a special clear coat coming on here to make this glossy. And it's an epoxy spray. So it's epoxy bonding to epoxy. And basically what this does, this frosty coating on here, it acts like it was sanded so that when you put the clear coat on it, it will dry clear and glossy. And so you'll be able to see all the way through all of this. Now, most of the flowers floated up a little bit on the back. That's not a problem. That's very pretty on that side. And it'll be very pretty on this side once we get the coating on here that will help clear that. All right, so let's pull all of these out. And of course, I'll have to trim some of this up. And the stick, you all saw, I shoved it into the epoxy, so there's epoxy on the base, and this is really well adhered. Now you can put these into flower arrangements. You can wrap them up like little lollipops, which we will do later, and put a little candy bag over them and make them cute that way. This is the one with the forget-me-nots and the lilies in it. This is jasmine blossoms and lilies. So they all came out really nicely. We'll have our new product in tomorrow, and we'll do a live with that, showing how the gloss coat works with that. And then meanwhile, once you're done, because you've sprayed your whole mold, don't just spray in the cavities, spray the entire mold with the mold release spray. All of this stuff just flakes off like a dream. All the little extra bits. I'll finish peeling off those later. Okay, and then we poured these as well. This is a little muffin candy mold from Michael's. So we're gonna peel this one back. Oh wow, this came out much glossier than I expected. Oh, I'm so excited. I thought this was gonna have much more of haze. Look how pretty that is. Okay, so I can tell you that these molds from Michael's, these blue ones that you might see if you go into the candy making aisle, will make a nice clear mold. Now that will probably end up as a paperweight, but look how pretty that is with that. Now these took a lot of product, just so you understand. Each one of these containers is about a half a cup without anything else in there. So be aware that you're going to need a generous amount of product. So this is what I've learned too from this, and this is going to be my next thing to do. If I want my flowers to sit closer to the surface, I need to do a thin layer of epoxy, put the flowers in, and then let it cure up. Because if you look at this, the flowers all rose to the back, so there's nothing quite near the surface. That doesn't make these any less pretty though. So for the back, you can see the back is kind of rough, and I have a little flower sticking up here. So what'll have to happen is I'm gonna have to take, you know, a sander or something and just smooth that down a little so it sits level. And then I can leave it clear, or I can back it with some fabric or some cork. But oh, I was so thrilled that those came out that way. I was not expecting that. I thought they were gonna come out frosty like the lollipops. Yay! And I have a couple of others of those big molds, so I now know that I've got some interesting stuff to come and do. All right, these are coasters that we poured, and if you remember, I mixed a whole bunch of glass glitter into clear epoxy and poured it. And then last night when I was heading out, I backed this with our, what is this color? Love Struck, mixed into the art resin and poured it and torched it and torched it and torched it. So now I just have to gently release it from the mold. There we go. There's a little dribble spot that wanted to keep the mold stuck there. Now the one thing with these these are supposed to be coasters, but coasters normally have some sort of backing or fabric on them to keep them from either sliding around on the table or scruffing or just even trapping moisture under them. So we'll talk about how to fix that, but look how cool that came out. So it's translucent. You can look on the side, you can see the thin layer that we did the glitter here, and then you can see the layer that we poured the color to back it. So that came out super pretty and hard as nails. So let's pour this one. We did a little bit of a geode idea with it, but then we drew the stick through it to get more of a starburst effect. So let's see how this one came out. And I swear, I can look at them from this side and sort of see what happened, but that doesn't mean that's how it looks once I pull the mold off. The mold, it's like pulling tape off a wall. Pulling the mold always makes it all look better. There we go. Oh yeah. So on the back we have our Love Struck. On the sides you can see the layers. So we had the purple here and the Love Struck. Look how pretty that came out. It almost looks, and I know this is going to date me, but it looks a little like, do you remember spin art? Where you dribble paint in and then it would spin. I can't do it with this because if I do it, I'll send it frisbeeing. But you'd spin it and the paint would shoot out in all directions. Oh, I love how that came out. Yay! Okay, so we've poured 2 coasters, and I have molds for like 10 more, so don't think that that's going to be the end of it. And then you can just peel any of the extra off of the mold that's making you nuts, because it makes me cuckoo. All right, so this is the thing that you put on a wine bottle. Let me see if I got a little bottle of something to show you what I'm talking about. So I don't have wine in the studio, but I do have a bottle of Bailey's left over from like Christmas and stuff. So here's the Bailey's bottle, and this thing just goes over the neck and sits down. Of course, it won't slide right now with the silicone mold over it, but we'll look at it on the bottle after I'm done, because that silicone mold makes that hole smaller. So first thing we're going to do is peel this out. And really, take your time. Loosen the sides first. Don't just loosen it at one end and rip it out, because that's how your mold can get torn. Because sometimes you have, like I have here, you have little bits that are kind of stuck over the edge. So if you don't ease the edges off and break those little bits, you can ruin your mold. There we go. We got it all lifted up from around the edges. Oh, come on. I have some little bits and pieces of stuff that I'll have to trim off the edges. That's always something that happens. All right, let's get this all out. And then the silicone cores like that, I tend to grab the mold like this because it's extremely flexible, and pull it in. That way it loosens the mold from around the inside of a circle. Came out no problem. That'll go to the side. And look at our cool wine topper. Now this is the first time I've tried pouring anything like this, so it's fairly, you know, a little bit interesting looking, not quite as controlled as I might have chosen. My white ring is a little too big. I would have liked smaller and larger, but it was a good experiment because I've never tried this way. And then this thing goes over the bottle of a wine, and you can hang, and I do not have stemware here in the studio, but you hang 2 wine glasses on either side, and this makes it a gift. Now this is so cute. These molds I got right off of Amazon. You can buy the epoxy, you can buy the pigments, you can buy the glitters and all of that from me, but the molds do come from Amazon for the trays. The other ones I got, you know, this came from Michael's. So here's our last one. It's our largest one. It is the tray. Now, I clearly mixed some more purple on this one, did a different color background than I did on the other 2, just because I wanted to. I kind of thought about what colors might peek through if I had any clear spots, so I wanted to make sure I chose colors that were flattering to what I'd already poured. And there's a lot of pink and purple, but I'm going for Valentine's-y kind of ideas. So there you go. Let's pull these out. I think I've gotten them all loosed all the way around. And there is glass glitter in here, so you might have a little piece of glass glitter sticking up around the edge. You definitely want to clean that off. Why? Because glass glitter is glass and it can cut you. Oh, this came out kind of cool. Yay! So again, it's sort of geode-y, sort of swirly. Again, my first time trying to pour anything like this. So when you pour it, you're only seeing it from this side. seeing it from this side, you're kind of doing a crapshoot. So some pigments will settle more heavily to the bottom than others, but I really like how that came out. Now, to make it a tray, I could either put handles here or I could put one in the center. I did not buy special handles to go with this. I know sometimes you can find them, but we can use one of my old leaf from another piece of furniture. Actually, this came off of a dresser, a sideboard that I did, and one of the knobs got broken in moving and I couldn't replace them, so I took them all off and put different ones on and kept these for other projects. So this came out super pretty, but obviously we're gonna have an issue if I use this as a handle going through here. So we're gonna do the construction and I'm gonna show you exactly how to fix that. So we need a drill and a Dremel. Let me go get them both. Drill. I have my drill. I have my Dremel tools. I just have to get the rest of the kit because I can't reach that far. Drills. Okay. I am short. My arms are short, so to reach all that stuff takes a second. And I probably should have had it all up waiting, but I did not. Now I just need my drill board, which has disappeared. Give me just a sec, everybody, to see where I put stuff. Well, I'm sure I'll find it in a second as I sit here and talk about it. I've misplaced the block of wood that I do all my drilling for stuff like this on. All right, so the first thing I need is the drill, because I got to put a hole in here. Okay. Plug that in. Sorry, I should have probably had all this organized, but you know, that doesn't always happen. And I'm nothing if not resourceful. If I cannot find my block of wood that I normally drill on, I'll just take my old U-line catalog. All right, so the first thing I need to do is mark where the center is going to be. So I'm going to take a little magic marker. And if you're not good at figuring out the center, measure it. That's going to be a little bit high. That should get me right about dead center. Then you're going to take a drill bit. Now, this is the key to doing this. You want a drill bit that's ever so slightly smaller than the screw so you can screw it in. And then the thing is, if you drill a hole that's too small, it's not that big a deal. You can always drill it to be bigger. But if you make the hole too big, you're kind of stuck with it. So I always try to start a little smaller than I think I need, because every once in a while I'm surprised. All right, if you don't like loud noises, this is the moment to cover your ears. Okay, went right through, drilled right nicely into my U-line catalog. Thank you, U-line, for providing me a nice stable surface. And we're gonna put see how much I need to get bigger. Oh, no, I got it right on one. Wow, that never happens. So I'm gonna take my knob and we're going to screw it through. And I don't want to force this. I want this actually to kind of create its own threading because that will help make it more secure. Now, as you can see, as I'm holding that, this is still curing because the weight of itself is actually making it bend. That will change. I can go like this and it'll fall right back out. So you either want to wait a little while and do this when it's harder, or you want to do it while it's still soft and you can let it level itself. You don't want to do it halfway and then leave it so that it stays bent. All right, so obviously this, like this, is not much use. Let's get this tightened down on here. So I have to cut that off, and that's what the Dremel's for. All right, so let's hope I've got the right disc in there. If not, I have to go find the other package. I'm going to take my Dremel out. Now, if you have a hacksaw blade that cuts through metal, that'll work too. You don't have to do this with power tools. I have cut it by hand. It's just, for me, for my hands, it's a little easier if I do it like this. A little less painful. All right, let's see, where's my cutting bit? Let's see what I got floating around here. Those aren't the right ones. Okay, so my cutting bit is over here. Hang on a sec. I always have to check because these different tips have different uses and they'll cut differently. For example, this I bought specifically because I knew it would cut through metal. So there we go. I just dropped the cutting wheel into my lap. I'm going to put the whole thing together. There we go. Nicely locked in. Now, I know people can get lazy, but really don't do, this is one thing you have to do. When you have something like this with a drill, there you go. Screw removed. Now, obviously, I still have to do something because that's not going to ever sit level with that one nut under it. Move all of this stuff out of the way because I'm starting to get a little claustrophobic with all the crap piled around me. All right, so clearly that's not ever going to sit completely level if I have a nut in the center, and then my tray will eventually cure domed down. So we have these things. Actually, we have a lot of different kinds because I wasn't sure how thick the nut was to the handle that I wanted to use. So I made sure I bought different ones, different thicknesses, different purposes. So this, we're gonna see if this is, these are my go-to. They're vinyl, they're clear, you won't see them. I use them under glass when I put glass on tables, things like that. But we did get bigger ones made out of felt and a couple even super thick ones made out of rubber just in case. So we're gonna try the knob, the bumpers, and see how thick they are and if they match the thickness of the screw. Okay, those are a little thinner than the screw. So they're not gonna be good. Let's try these. I think these are gonna be a better option. Yeah, they're a little thicker, so that's gonna work a little better. Let's get the dust off of here. Putting things on a surface that's dusty with adhesive doesn't work. Just gluing the dust, you're not gluing the surface. So this is a little denatured alcohol. I'm just wiping this down. As you can see, it got dirt on it just from doing all of that cutting. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do that, and then I'll put a couple around the outside. So now we'll be supported in more than one place, and it sits level. How cool is that? So we have created a tray, we have created coasters. The tray, you pick it up like that. I mean, cute as that can be, or you can serve just like this. So once that's cured hard, this is gonna be ideal. Oh, I'm so happy with how that came out. Oh, yay. That works so much for me. Tomorrow we will deal with our hazy vinyl and our hazy epoxy and how to do that. We'll discuss that. This definitely, see, none of the other ones are doing that. There's no sticky on any of these others. This is definitely the dregs. The last one I poured, it had some unmixed stuff at the bottom. So this is why you want to mix properly. I sound like my mother, I know, but really it makes a difference. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it up and see if you all have any questions that I missed, and then we'll go back to that furniture piece that I have in the back. Hey, Desiree. Okay. Now, I think Maddie was the only one who had a question that needed to be answered, so I think we took care of that. But again, by tomorrow, the front of this will look glossy and clear like the back. I think this is just the cutest idea. I'm going to be casting a lot more stuff. Also, we're going to be working on some new molds. I got some new molds in today, and we'll be working on those on Two Chatty Chicks, teaching eclectic creations later today for Renee. Also, we're going to give a quick rundown of our contest before I go over and do... Good grief, stop sending me text messages even when I have you turned off. Oh, I need to stop. So I totally lost what I was going to say. Oh yes, we're going to be doing this with Two Chatty Chicks later today on Facebook, but also our contest is still going strong. You have until Saturday to tell me in the contest post your funniest painting story. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, we only have one entry, and that's not a contest. So if we have only one entry, then the contest is canceled. I need to have more than one option for this contest to go. So just share your funniest painting story. I've shared a number of mine. I got plenty of stories to tell. So I have, and not all of them are mine. Some of them are from other people. So, all right, everybody, let's move this back to the desk back here. We're going to start discussing the approach I need to take to find out what has to be done. So if you get it all queasy with moving cameras, this is the time to look away. All right, everybody, you follow me back while I try not to fall on furniture. Okay, let me flip the camera so you can see the whole thing. This is the desk, okay? You can see it's kidney bean shaped with a leather top. And if we look in close to it, let me get down close, you can see one of the legs was badly dog chewed. And we have some tooth marks on some of the others, like right down in here. So that's one of the things that's going to have to be dealt with. Also, we have some drawers that the fronts have come off of, and I have all the fronts. They are in there. So the next thing to do is discuss the first step. Now let me flip the camera back around and I will put it on here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so, and of course I left the stuff I needed up in front because I needed it a second to go up there. Just a second. Oh, I'm such a genius. So the first step in anything is cleaning. But I need to figure out also what this was sealed with. Now this is in really rough shape. So no matter what happens, I know I'm going to have to find a way to seal it somehow before I do anything else in case I have stuff bleeding. My guess is that we're looking at shellac or old varnish on here. So if you spray, this is denatured alcohol in here, but you could use rubbing alcohol as well. You're going to spray it, let it sit for a second, and see what happens. Now when I say see what happens, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to check it to see if it's clean, but also if it's gummy. And I can tell you right now, it's gummy. And it's coming up yellow. So we're working with old varnish or old shellac. Usually when it comes up this fast, it's shellac. And then I'm going to test the top of my leather here. Yeah, there's some gooey stuff on there. So when it comes out yellow like that and it's suddenly super soft the second you put any alcohol on it, it's shellac. Old varnish will soften like that as well, but it takes a little longer. Now this is old, it's brittle, it's been beat up. So I'm going to have to take out every single drawer. I'm going to take out all the hardware and remove it. This is not what the hardware is going to be. And then I have the rest of these drawers in here. I'm going to pull it out. So here's the drawer without the front. I have to do all the drawer repair. So the first part though, I take it all apart. I clean the whole thing down. Now that I know what the solvent is on here, the first thing I'm going to do, instead of cleaning with an alcohol-based cleaner, I'm going to take mineral spirits. Grab my mineral spirits. Now this is Gamsol brand because that's what I happen to grab. But Sunnyside, any other brand will work just as well. And then I'm going to take a green scrubby. Why am I doing this? Because I don't know if this has any shellac or oils, any oils or furniture polish on here. I do know that my finish is going to be alcohol solvent, but first thing I have to do is get it clean. So if I take mineral spirits like this, and I'm showing you on the top, it would probably show better even on the sides, and a green scrubby, these things. And what this does is it works into the crevices and it picks up the dirt, and it also removes the grease. And I'm scrubbing it up, and then now right in here, it's absorbing into the leather. Leather likes this stuff, but it will be fine once it airs out, and then I clean it with alcohol too to remove any of the oily residue from this. But what this does is it removes any wax, any old furniture polish, anything like that, and it also scuffs the surface. So if I didn't need major sanding, I'm creating a little bit of texture on the surface for my primer or my first layer of paint to grab. So I've done I'm doing two steps in one. Basically, I'm sanding and cleaning in the same step. And this is the stuff you want to get off. That is, I don't know whether that's cigarettes. It doesn't smell like cigarette, but you get old hand oils, old food oils. You know, this is a desk. People work at it. They've probably spilled a ton of crap on here over the years. And this works on just about everything. So I'm cleaning that well, and then you come back with, all right, we're going to show you this because I'm not going to do the whole desk here watching for you guys to watch me clean this whole thing down like that. But then I'm going to come back in with the alcohol. And the reason I come back in with the alcohol, and normally I do this with a clean piece of paper towel, but when I come back in with the alcohol, it wipes and removes any of the oily residue left behind from using the mineral spirits. Now, I know it's going to feel, especially with what I'm dealing with a solvent, an alcohol dissolvable top coat, it may feel a little gummy when you come back over it, but it's not going to hurt anything because you're going to fix every surface as you're going along. You're working on it. That's part of the job. This leaves you, now I'm going to turn you to me. This is a cleaning technique, sorry, we're crooked, that leaves you with no alcohol residue, no cleaning solution residue. Sorry, I got to do this so I can let go of the camera. Okay, this technique leaves you, unlike using simple green and then wiping it off, or using crud cutter and wiping it off, or using whatever, Dawn Power Dissolve, whatever it is that you use to clean your furniture, it leaves a residue behind. If you come back in with the alcohol like this, it takes all your residue off. And that's a big thing. So if you're having trouble with your furniture pieces not having good adhesion with the paint, it may not be the paint. It may be the fact that you have a residue between your surface and your paint. So you've got paint, residue, surface, and this is what's stuck to your paint surface, your furniture surface, not the paint that's back here. So it will delaminate, peel off, chip off, whatever, if you don't have your surface properly prepped and have residue on it. For some people, that conversation might be theoretical. For me, I've actually had it happen. I thought I knew what I was doing. I was using this great cleaner, never had a problem. And then I got the one piece that I did not remove the cleaner from well, and just everything I did, it just peeled right off of it. Didn't matter. Once I went back, cleaned the whole thing again, I didn't change anything else other than I cleaned off the residue. It worked. And I stopped using that because that was a pain. This technique removes grease, removes dirt, removes the residue. Works every single time. All right, I think that's enough for today. I'm going to come back. I'm going to be doing another live, like I said earlier, on Two Chatty Chicks. We're going to be pouring more epoxy in between then and now. I'll probably be cleaning this up. Also, give me some ideas for this piece. I have a million ideas in my head and I'm almost immobilized with them. So if you have some ideas, throw them my way. I'd love to hear them. I think this one, I have some ideas, but if somebody's got something better than what I got, I'm all for it. So throw some ideas in this post. When you watch this video, now, next week, whenever, throw me some ideas, because if I don't use it on this piece and I love it, I will find another piece and use it on it. All right, let me go one more time, seeing if I missed any questions. Hey, Kathy Brown. My husband popped in to watch. So we're all set with this now. So if you have any questions, again, about the why and how I do this cleaning with the mineral spirits and the alcohol, leave a message, post it. I'll write the answer out. Everybody will be able to read it, and it'll be there for you to reference. If you have any questions about the epoxy stuff I was doing, same thing. Post a question, leave it up, I'll come back, I'll answer it, and the answer will be there available for everybody. And meanwhile, I will see you later. If you want to catch me again pouring some more epoxy, doing some fun stuff, check me later at Two Chatty Chicks Teaching Eclectic Creations. You'll if you've signed up for notifications for either group, you'll probably see it. All right, everyone, have a wonderful afternoon. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.